Testing, testing, testing. No, I'm not testing the equipment. I'm testing my voice. Moves news, moves news. You snooze, you lose. Well, actually, most people are snoozing right now. It's, just about maybe 5 o'clock in the morning here in Clout, Italy, and I arrived the day before yesterday in the evening, and yesterday I already twice, not quite so early in the morning, but twice I ran and walked and hiked to the top of this little mountain and back. The whole trip is under an hour, 45 minutes maybe. If I don't stop, maybe I could do it in half an hour if I was racing or pushed. Well, I enjoy sharing and trying to inspire you all to be active and to move. I sometimes don't feel like moving until I start moving, and then I really enjoy it. So it's like many things, getting started is the hard part. And I didn't do that much this morning. Already getting adjusted to jet lag a little bit. Yesterday I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. This morning I've been up for not even an hour, so I'm not really warmed up. And noticed that my both knees are a little stressed from, this was after arriving from Tokyo. This was a little out of the ordinary activity for me, even though I do the 12 floors of stair climbs and descending on a regular basis every day, at least once. Yeah, so, but this is just maybe I could have done a little bit more body maintenance, some myofascia release, or use a foam roller or something to ease a few tight muscles and this and that. It's hard to say, but so I don't want to push into the pain too much. I'm not going to apply that the most pain possible is the most gain possible theory. I'm just going to, if I get some sharp pain, repetitive pain that's ouch, I'm going to stop running or stop walking. I'm not going to push through it. Oh, unless I'm in a race, Sometimes these types of pains, they go away, and they're caused by misuse very, very often, maybe 100% time, misuse of some type. Pains, misuse as far as your posture, your biomechanics, misuse as far as what you put into your body, what you eat, drink, smoke, etc. Misuse as far as just doing too much exercise and getting exhausted. Yeah, I stopped running just when we got to this hill. Speaking of exhausted, this is where this white and red helps follow the path, but of course I know it very well by now. The path gets to a certain steepness that it's not really very much faster, if at all, to run. This shallows out a little bit again. Oh, you're greeting me as I head up into the trail. Well, good morning to you too. Yeah. And the least hard on the body as far as pacing is to try to keep the exertion constant, is what I understand, and that does seem to bear out with my experience. And you can measure your exertion. One way to measure exertion is by your breathing. So if you, in other words, if you keep your breathing fairly constant throughout, assuming that your breathing is relaxed and full and natural, that you're not holding your breath or hyperventilating. Going up quite steep now, and these rocks are rough. Not totally rough, but it did rain overnight. There were some thunderstorms even, and so some of these rocks are wet still, and sun hasn't even come up yet this morning, so the trail's wet. And so I have to be careful for sure. Anytime you embark on something where you move, there are risks. Yeah, so as the trail gets steeper, it takes more effort to, keep yourself moving at the same speed. So you slow down, but you can keep your exertion constant. Oh, as the case now. Very steep, so I'm going to walk this. Just taking nice long strides. Keeping this camera should be quite steady when I go up hills. Because I'm not really, it's more usually walking than running. And if it is running, going airborne, it's really kind of as little as possible. I keep a fairly low center of gravity for power. That way I have more range of motion in my legs for the bending and straightening. So keeping it low, staying closer to the ground. This is just generally, as I've said recently, a principle that you're going to be hard pressed to argue with, is that if you get down in your joints, ankles, knees, hips, you have more power. It's not like you always want power, but yeah, this is rough. This is good enough to walk on. Yeah, so, and by doing a commentary on my hike today, I can't breathe naturally. Well, I guess I could if I talked in a rhythmic way, keeping my voice going. But yeah, I could do that, but that really doesn't make sense either, because I tend to, in skating, if I step a little quicker, I tend to, unless the steps are too quick, I tend to let the breathing match the pace of the motion, match the tempo and swing and all the rest of that stuff. But no, here, even if my breathing ideally, when you think about it, should not be linked up. There's no physics reason why I would want to breathe at the same tempo as my steps. The steps are going to vary, of course. This is not smooth steady paved terrain here. I'm just gonna run a little bit up here. This is pretty smooth and steady, but a lot of it's rocky, different elevation gain on each step, and roots and rocks and different things to negotiate. So some steps shorter than others, and so your feet aren't in this particular activity so much following a tempo. Yeah, this is very good exercise for the body, as you can imagine, and it's also very good exercise for the mind, using the ankle joint in all different ways to because the surface that I step on is irregular, sometimes an angle, forward, backward, rocks, roots, stumps, different positions, not like walking on something urban. So very, very good for the Creste di San Gualberto Col Mitol. But we're going to go up, I'm taking you up to Col de Pais. Yeah, but I have to watch and plan my steps, right? I can't just be sightseeing totally when I'm going up a trail like this. So tend to have the head down. This is how far I've come up so far from the town. I live right in the middle of that town there. Clout, Italy. C-L-A-U-T. I know it doesn't sound like an Italian word. Well, thank you very much for coming along on this run with me. Yeah, so hopefully it's good for you. You find it interesting and you learn a little tidbit or two and to try yourself or to implement in your activity or whatnot, or you practice your discernment and deciding whether what I say is very, very wise and true or the opposite. And you get to see some scenery along the way in the Dolomite mountains. Just an hour and a half up down road from Cortina d'Ampezzo, where some of the Olympic activities will be. Yeah, and when you're talking, of course, you make noise when you breathe out, not when you breathe in. You can't talk when you're breathing in. I shouldn't say that. Maybe you have some very clever way of breathing in your nose while you're breathing out your mouth. Unlikely, actually. Hopping across, and yeah, but so yeah, so I also learned things from doing these various podcasts. Like, for example, I did, before I left Tokyo, I went on a run around the Imperial Gardens, around 5K or so, and I took this GoPro. It was my first use of this camera, and in watching through the playback, I noticed the whole thing was tilted. How could it get tilted? I went into the bathroom, looked in a mirror, made sure it was centered on my head and level, went out, filmed, my run. How did it get tilted? So did I learn something about myself? We're gonna see when I look at this video. Yeah. Was it somehow the camera got askew? Or do I have a case of torticollis, head tilted, that I need to address as well? Does that get added to my list of body maintenance agenda? Oh, we're getting up there. I let myself go faster down to keep it moving. Sometimes it's a challenge to try to pretend like you're racing, and even if you're not using like full blast cardiovascular exertion, you're using racing technique, which is efficiency of motion, sometimes taking a shortcut on a trail like this, picking the best route, picking the best place to put your feet, pacing yourself well, keeping a low center of gravity, letting gravity work for you when it will, like when you're going downhill. Well, I hope I'm not going downhill in my life, at least not any quicker than necessary. And exercise, I understand, is a way of maintaining and assuring your longevity. And not just that, but the quality of life while you're alive. Because time is just something we use to measure. And yeah, it keeps on going, and it's a real concept. Time. This is quite a bit more level, just barely up, actually level a lot of places. So it feels good to get moving a little bit when I can. It feels good to move, to be able to move. I'm really enjoying this, running along. And just feeling a nice rhythm, and breathing in all this as fresh as it can be air, right? No, not close to any big urban areas, and right in the depth of a lush, verdant, vernal forest, a green spring forest. Lots of oxygen in here, not a lot of smog and pollutants, so best air. Yeah, it's a little thin. We're at altitude, not extreme altitude, but yeah, the air's a little rarefied, certainly compared to Tokyo. It's cool though here. Yeah, overheating is not so good. And in Tokyo, if you run in the middle of the day for a long period of time, you really got to work up to that and hydrate properly. And this is so comfortable, like now perfect temperature, especially since I'm getting a little wind chill from moving through that air. It just feels really nice, like radiator-less cooling. No mechanical radiator, nothing mechanical. All I have with me, well, okay, right in the middle of my forehead, I have something mechanical today. There is that. Otherwise, if I wasn't doing this for show, I would just have for a hike of this length, I would just have my key, one key in my pocket. And this brand, Lululemon, in pant pockets, there's always a zipper pocket somewhere on those pants. So I don't want to lose my key up here or anywhere. So I always zip in my key, off I go. So much more comfortable not to have these impediments, backpacks, sweaty back, tired shoulders, bouncing around. Yeah, it's cloudy out and it's still very early morning and we're in the forest, so quite dark. We'll see how the camera deals with this. Yeah, well, sometimes it's nice to pull ourselves away from our devices, electronic devices specifically, for so many reasons that we know about, but most of us, myself included, have a little bit of an addiction, or you know, the range of addictions is a whole spectrum. I do know that I really enjoy being up here, and I didn't bring my iPhone. It's heavy, and for running it's just heavy. It bounces around. It's not necessary. So yeah, I could take some picture for my thumbnail, and I will today or tomorrow, but for now, very well balanced. Just a GoPro on my forehead and one key in my right rear pocket. Well, it's interesting. I did some stairology videos recently and started thinking more deeply into how to climb stairs, and not assuming that I just know how to climb stairs because I've been doing it for decades and decades. See if I can be more of an athlete mentality. How do I climb these stairs as quickly as possible, as pain-free as possible, and as efficiently as possible, and etc. And so I'm using that same method going up these trails. Pretty flat now, so letting those hips go through a whole range of motion. Pick it up and let it swing forward. Full range of motion. Even from straight in the back, so straightening, pushing up as I go back. That leg straightening, ankle straightening. And that does help extend the length of the stride. So you can imagine that if you straighten or if you jump, you can go up 3 or 4 steps at a time. Well, if you jump up this trail, or at least run up this trail, I don't know if you want to totally straighten your knee. Definitely not totally. We don't want any hyperextension or excessive straightening or flexing or of that knee. And we probably don't want to extend the ankle through its full range of motion either. But by doing exercises, stretching, this type of thing, to extend our range of motion, we make the motion even well within that range of motion easier and more fluid. So in other words, the limit of your range of motion is not like a wall that you hit. It's more like a spring. Gradually the tension grows and grows and grows as you stretch and stretch and stretch, pushing yourself beyond, into and beyond your range of motion. And I haven't done any scientific testing on this, but yeah, I do feel that extending my range of motion in all the various ways that I do throughout every day almost helps the motion be less tense, more fluid, more relaxed. And so I'm not wasting my precious energy. Congratulations, you made it. I don't know how long that took, maybe 20, 25 minutes or something, but you persevered. If you're still with me, yes, I feel good. I don't need to know what temperature it is. I don't need to know what time it is. I don't need to know any numbers right now. I don't need to count anything. But I do know that it feels very, yeah, definitely not cold, but not hot either. Kind of an ideal temperature, and almost no wind. So yeah, when I'm running, there's a wind just from the motion, but you can't detect any motion at all in those trees. And if I try to figure out which way the wind's blowing from the cooling effect on my skin, no, I can't feel. For all intents and purposes, right now it's absolutely calm up here at 5:30 in the morning or something like that in Clout. And I can show you the town and the ice rink, happy place. Yep, there it is down there at the intersection of those two rivers. It's interesting how on the top of this hill they bring some mower up here, like the trail that I just came on. There's no other trail, and not only the trail, but this whole area up here has been mowed. I don't know if they bring some hand tool up or no, actually I think there's some kind of tractor that they mow this up here. Yeah, so that's the rink down there. There's a river on the left going by, meandering along through the valley, and that river bed on the right is I think it's dry. I don't see any water in it right now, at least not on the surface, but there's a lot of these huge, wide riverbeds in this part of the world. And I think it's because they get some very, very heavy rain sometimes, and that valley just fills up, that watershed just fills up and got to come down, so it creates these huge riverbeds all over the place. Yeah, quite lovely. So I'm going to stop this and take a little bit of a rest up here. Actually, no, I don't need to. I'm going to keep going. I usually make a point of trying to do these videos in one take, so not splicing them together, just doing a performance out of it, more or less type of thing. So I don't want to get into a habit of doing that either, because sometimes I can get perhaps a better, that's the shortcut, but it's very, very steep. Perhaps I can get a better video by editing out some certain sections, but I don't know. I'm not gonna really go on too long about anything that I don't think is interesting, informative, inspiring for you. So, and today the ice is already early, 6:30 to 8, so I want to go back and rest up a little bit and then get my feet on the ice and take advantage of that. So in essence, when I'm going down, I'm trying to keep, even though this camera has a stabilizing function in it, I'm trying to pretend it doesn't. I'm trying to keep my head as stable as possible. I'm trying to keep my core very stable, and I'm trying to use my footwork in such a way that I keep the motion very smooth, without unnecessary jumping up and down, and especially downhill, because it's really hard on your knees. It's already hard enough on your knees without jumping, but if you're jumping as well as going down, it's very, very hard on the knees. So this is too steep to just coast down, especially with the terrain. It would be unsafe to just coast down this. Slippery leaves, rocks, stumps, a little bit dark in the forest. So it's braking. I'm braking when I'm going down. At a certain steepness, you're not coasting, you're braking. You go from, maybe like right now, it's just barely going down, so I can even push. I can propel myself along and add to the gravity effect. But now that it steepens here, now I'm trying to move the legs faster now to keep moving down here. Longer stride and low center of gravity. Walking very fast down the mountain, just barely airborne. Stance phase quite long. And thinking about all these things, also thinking about not trying to show off too much, because showing off can be dangerous. Staying within my comfort zone. Well, maybe not well within, but that's no fun. But really considering the damage that I could do to myself if I stumbled over a rock. It wouldn't be the first time. So considering that, safety always as part of the plan. Well, it's nice to take a round trip when we go back, and so that's what we're going to do today. There's many different possibilities for a round trip, except that's to go up to, actually that's a really nice hike up to the top of that mountain there that you can see that I'm looking at. But no, and I don't think this is the right way. So yeah, sometimes we take the wrong path physically in the physical world, and oh, I remember now, and metaphorically in life, whether it's from some specific thing that we do, we followed some advice, or we adhere to some superstition, or we're stuck in our habits. We're doing things not the best way. We're going down the wrong path. So yeah, I hope you'll check me in the comments if you think I'm leading everybody astray out here, because sometimes I give opinions on matters, and most of my opinions are not based so much on what I've heard. My foundation of knowledge is not so much what I've heard, although I have I had some very good instructors through the years. My method is based on reasoning, based on physics, and based on what the body can do, biomechanics, and considering cardiovascular endurance and power and this and that. Yeah, well, this is a 45-minute jaunt today, something like that, and that's about the length of a figure skating session kind of thing. Maybe sometimes I skate twice as long, but if I have good endurance in that time frame, if I can keep putting out for 45 minutes because I train my running style and I push myself, that's going to benefit me. It's going to benefit my training. I'm going to be able to rest less and skate more, which has an upside. And really, this is not super rough terrain. This whole trail is pretty mild, pretty easy. It's not a walk in the park, but it's not that rugged either. There's not a lot of rocks. You don't need to use your hands. You don't have to like watch every step. You don't have to, you know, it's relatively easy going. And it's fun. And running is not fun for everybody. It's probably those of you for whom running is not fun. You're probably watching some TikTok video now instead of watching Gary Beacom run through a path in the forest and chat about his musings. Well, I heard an interview with a runner recently, and so yes, sometimes you can pick up some good advice from listening to other people's opinions. Take your discernment with you. Don't think it's the truth just because somebody said it or wrote it, but I'm trying to open up my throat, relax even my tongue actually, because if the tongue is stiff, it kind of can narrow the passage. I want to have lots of passage for air exchange. So I'm trying to breathe through my both nostrils and my mouth. And I remind myself of this periodically. I catch myself, oh, my breathing's restricted. Oh, my tongue is kind of like lifting up towards the roof of the mouth and restricting the feeling of the air going right down the throat, rather than having to go some roundabout route or deal with some air molecule traffic jam. Yeah, big, open up the throat, relax the tongue. Even allow air to go through in and out the nostrils. This is for maximum air exchange. These sorts of things. And this is a limiting factor. It's, of course, harder on the joints, maybe, going downhill, but gravity is doing all the work. Well, you're just doing the work of fighting gravity, braking yourself at a certain steepness. Yeah, this is as you get sort of towards the bottom of one of those slopes, you can let yourself go and try to, and then because you're going to slow down again right away when you go up. So this trail is actually a little on the gravelly side. There's some small loose rocks on this trail, which are cause for caution. Actually, I did slip a few times yesterday on those loose rocks, so that's a hazard. And of course, I stretch my quads every day and hip flexors so that I can have a nice long ability to have a nice long stride that's good for going down a modest hill on pavement where it's all about just like coasting and moving, supporting yourself as you move along quickly. So picking that foot up where it was supporting you back there and then getting it to swing nice and relaxed and smooth to the place where it's going to support your next step. Yeah, these rocks are a little bit on the wet side, so I can feel a little slippiness. I am wearing some brand new mountain trail shoes, and they do feel pretty good and they have pretty good grip, and I like the fact that they're narrow. They don't have a big buttress sticking out the side either on the heel or on the toe. Nice narrow profile, so my foot fits more places. All that support protruding out to the side has some benefits, perhaps stability, but it has some downsides too. So I favor minimalist shoes, at least as far as the weight and the how much space they take up, how much they're going to restrict my clearance. You can run faster if you don't have your feet as wide apart, and there's a limit to that. Like, where's the ideal place when you're running? How far should your feet be apart? How far apart away from each other do they pass on each step? On a, like, it's going to vary a lot on this type of terrain, but if you're have your feet too far apart, that's a little more stable, easier to balance as you walk along, as you lumber along, but then you tend to, you know, sway back and forth. So especially when you're booking it, you know, you've got some pretty good speed going on. You don't want to be wobbling. You want to be your center of gravity to be following a the autobahn and not the little side road, little windy side road. Yeah, stability is a good thing. So that's another reason I have more clearance. So if I have my feet closer together, then they're going to clunk into each other occasionally. If I have a wider base that sticks out, that's my reasoning on that anyways. Loose gravel, it's not over till it's over. Yeah. And down these few steps, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm really not taking this for granted, because being on the injured list sucks, and it happens, and you never know when it's going to happen next. So right now I'm not really on the injured list, which doesn't mean that all systems are functioning perfectly either. Yeah, I have a few little pain and challenges, this and that, but I'm very grateful to be able to come out here and take a nice run on a beautiful summer morning. Oh, look, I can even have a little snack. It rained heavily last night, so these are they look pretty clean and good. So yeah, those are going in. So I will be masticating those, and there's some few nice greens in here. Doesn't get any fresher than that, baby. Yeah, this is really nice, fresh, bitter greens. And I'm pretty sure there's no chemical applications in this path. So yeah, if I come back in, I don't know, what do you say? A few months, maybe they don't even ripen at all in this short, high mountain. Oh, they must ripen. Raspberries by the looks of it. Yeah, those are a little bitter, those greens. Yeah, even close to the path. No problem. Take a few of those greens when you can get them in the springtime. Actually, I'm still waiting for my transportation org to get set up here in Clout, so I have limited food with me and no fresh vegetables at the moment for a few days, which is fine for a few days, but I can come up here and make a video and get some exercise and have a little breakfast. So yeah, thank you for joining me for breakfast. Heading down this trail. Yeah, often we make mistakes if we get tired. I'm not tired at all. This has been a pretty mild little warm-up for the day. Well, I shouldn't say not at all. When we use our muscles like this, even somebody in the very top, tip-top shape is tired. You know, to some degree. The muscles do take some time to rest up and restore. Yeah, that those greens are very bitter. They have a very cleansing effect, and yeah, I think they're good for the mouth, the teeth, the throat, stomach, the body. More greens here, right on the path. After the rain last night, those would be fine, I'm sure. Yeah. So I want to try, when I'm going downhill, to one of the ways that we can go downhill, I just kind of thought about this and discovered this recently, is instead of thinking about how the muscles are working, like how the leg is straightening and bending specifically, or how you're keeping your center of gravity low, I can think more about how my weight rolls from the back of my foot, or at least from the whole foot, because I do try not to heel plant. I think it's best not to heel plant so much. Heel planting is kind of breaking, so keeping the weight supported on the front of the foot a little longer allows a longer stride. It allows me to not heel plant because I'm waiting a little bit long, keeping that weight on the back foot a little longer, so then that foot becomes more right underneath me as I put it down. So those few mechanical things, but What I was going to say is just to keep the body, think about keeping the core of the body, chest, stomach, moving constantly through space. So in other words, not jerking, and just letting the footwork happen in such a way that that motion is smooth and continuous, not lurching like a pigeon, head not going forward and backward, body not going forward and backward, stopping and starting, whole body moving at a constant rate through space, uphill, downhill, whatever. Well, we're almost back now. So this is a really good place to wash my eyes. Not that I need to wash my eyes so much here. I haven't noticed any pollen or anything that irritates my eyes. In Tokyo, being on the roads a lot, the eyes, I go through a lot of pollution and dust and everything, so I wash my eyes periodically. I'll wash my eyes here just because I haven't been eating as many fruits or vegetables, so my blood feels a little bit acidic. My tears feel like they kind of sting my eyes a little bit, and so that's kind of a sign that the body's maybe a little bit too acidic. So I think it will feel good to look down into the fountain, just slowly, gradually immerse my head in there, so my eyes into there, and I can really control the pressure by how close I go. Like just barely, you can at first just barely into the fountain, and then if you want a little more pressure or a little more volume, sink it down a little bit lower, not too much. And then if there's some kind of debris or something in your eyes, it washes down. It doesn't wash back into your eye socket, so looking down is good for that as well. So yeah, maybe we'll leave it at that for today, and thank you very much for joining, and signing off now from the Moves News with a tired Gary Beacom, who has no dental floss with him and probably has some kind of greens in his teeth. And thank you to Skate Insole Company for providing me with the insoles that I use in all my shoes and skates and footwear. And bye for now. Okay. Ciao from Clout.